before you sit.
Okay.
So I,
Nancy Charity Nanyama Kibaba, of National ID number 22652164,
having been duly nominated to serve as County Executive Committee member of the County Government of Bungoma.
having been duly nominated to serve as...
You repeat again, you are on oath and you are swearing. You can't be holding the Bible that way. Yes, that's the proper way of taking an oath. Okay, go again.
I, Nancy Charity Nanyama Kibaba, of National ID number 22652164,
having been duly nominated to serve as County Executive Committee member of the County Government of Bungoma,
having been duly nominated to serve as County Executive Committee member of the County Government of Bungoma,
do hereby solemnly and sincerely swear
do hereby solemnly and sincerely swear
that the information that I shall give before this committee
that the information that I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, thank you. You can take your seat and people to sign the oath of secrecy before you. Thank you, Madam Nance. Now, before we start engaging you, kindly hand over your documentations plus the ID to our officer for verification from the committee membership. So, Madam will ask you questions from the 10 honorable members before you today. I'm Honorable Situma Emmanuel.
I'm Honorable Stephen Wafula Malwa, member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Honorable Joseph Nyongesa Juma, a member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Joan Kirong, member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Anthony Lusanaka, MCF Kembe Westwood, member.
Chair, Honorable Mutembu, member.
Chair, I'm Honorable Vitalis Wangila, member.
Honorable Chemion Masai, member.
Mkongo Barasa, member.
Honorable Makari George, member.
Thank you, honorable members. I'll ask Deputy Clerk Legislative to introduce the Secretariat accordingly.
Honorable Chair, my name is Momos Leona, the Deputy Clerk Legislative Services. With me is Wadera, Research Officer, just carry your hand. Also Editor, Madam Caroline Akrapa, and that is our legal counsel, Bwana Musumba. Then also we have Chief Sergeant at Arms, Kalistas Ndieria. Then we have Muganda Kabehi as Senior Clerk Assistant Committee Services. We have Ruth as Senior Clerk Assistant Legislative Services. And then we have Mash from Communication Office. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Madam will ask you sets of questions and will be having rejoinders. Hope you have some writing pad and a pen because you will have to note some of them as we proceed. So I'll ask you my first question that give us a summary of who is Charity Nancy Kibaba. Give us a summary of yourself.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Nancy Nanyama Kibaba. I was born in Sirisia constituency to 2 police officers. I started my primary school education in Kiganjo Primary School where my parents were working as police officers. I later went to Kibabi Girls Boarding Primary when we came to Western. After that, I went to Butere Girls High School where I did my KCSE exam. I am a holder of 2 bachelor's degree, both arts, one in political science and sociology, and the other in theology. I'm also currently doing my master's in international relations with a university in the UK called Nottingham Trent University. I have previously served as an advisor on gender, youth and sports and border affairs in Bungoma County Government. And I have also served as a member of the County Assembly in this honorable house. And on that note, I just want to say that I'm happy to be back home. It feels home. And I'm happy to also see people that I worked with previously. I am currently the nominee for the position of gender, youth and sports in Bungoma County Government.
Thank you. I'll ask you my first question. Anything you want to see clarity? Yes, Honorable Joseph.
Maybe just to clarify on the issue of where she was born, Honorable Chair, because we are having an idea. She was born in Ichwele location, Mukuyuni sub-location, but in his presentation she has said she was born in Sirisha. And you know, one time, Honorable Chair, when she was being interviewed on a local radio, she said she was born in Sirisha, stays in Kandui, married in Bumula. So I'm getting mixed up. Where were you born?
Kindly clarify.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I am born in Sirisia. My mother, Claire Kibaba, was born in Kabuchai. And it's my mother who applied for my identification card. You know that when you're just from school, sometimes you're not really conversant with all these procedures. And my mother, when she was filling out the details, she must have filled with where she's born, because my mother comes from Kabuchai in Teremi, Mkuyuni. But my father, because I believe that children follow the lineage of the fathers, my father...
Not everywhere.
Okay, according to my culture, the children follow the lineage of the father, and my father is born in Sirisia in Namuela Ward.
It's okay, I think it's clarified. Now I'll ask you the first question, and my first... Yes, Honorable Mtiembu?
If she can just add Namuela Ward in which location and sub-location?
It's okay, can you clarify, because you can, if you are from Sirisia...
And if she can know the chief of that location, that sub-location?
Yes, it's important to know.
Yes, my chief is called Kundu.
Now before that, give us the location where the chief is from.
I come from Namuela Ward. I live in Kaptanai location, and the chief of my area is called Kundu.
It's okay.
Then, Chair, there's something that...
Let Honorable Mtiembu finish first on those bits of clarity.
Chair, I wanted the nominee to just say the truth about her chief.
She said her chief...
Namuela location. And the chief, and location and sub-location, you said you come from main sub-location.
Madam Nancy, you'll give her the name of the location and the name of the chief. Okay, so that it's on record and you're
because
unanswered.
I know the...
Honorable Mutiamu, if you know the answer, you will use it for report writing. Don't give it out here. That's why we are vetting her. If she's going to lie on oath, you know what we're supposed to do as a committee. Perjury will be invoked accordingly.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, yes, Madam Nancy. Your location?
Namuela location.
Namuela location. The chief?
Mr. Kundu.
Mr. Kundu. Just one name?
That's the name I'm familiar with.
Because my counterpart in my office also called Kundu, so I'm wondering, is it the same man or?
Chair, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of the first name. It's an oversight on my side.
It's okay. We'll find out those particulars. So I'll be asking the first question. Now, as a CEC nominee for the Department of Gender, Culture, Youth and Sports, what are you going to do to improve the sporting activities in Bungoma County?
Thank you, Chair. In order to improve the sporting activity in Bungoma County, first of all, it is to ensure that we have proper play fields. That includes the stadiums. We know that there is stadiums that are being constructed in our county. We have the Masinde Muliro Stadium. We have the Amtala Stadium in Kimilili. We have the Nalondo Stadium. We have a stadium in Mbakalo. So I know that football is a major game in Bungoma County, and one of the ways to improve sports is to make sure that these stadiums are operational so that our young people can have spaces where they can be able to play, they can be able to perform their sports well. We also have volleyballers. We know that Bungoma County, especially from the Lugulu Girls High School, have been able to produce very good volleyball players. So as a county, I know that previously we've not had any budgets that accommodate us supporting the volleyball games. But with the help of this county assembly, it's my prayer and my hope that if I am made a CEC of Gender, Youth and Sports, then that should be one of the things that we should follow up to make sure that we are able to build our volleyball team together with the football team. We also have the Chemoge High Altitude Training Center in Mount Elgon, which is yet to be completed. Once it is completed, we will be able to help our athletes to practice and be outstanding and even be able to represent us in different parts of this world.
So I'll go to the first Honorable Joseph Nyongesa.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe Honorable Nancy, from your questionnaire, you feel that the answer submitted to us, you showed that you contested for a women representative seat in 2013 and 2017 on Fort Kenya ticket, and on 2022 on UDA ticket, and in all attempts you were unsuccessful. From these trials, what could be the lesson learned that you can share with this committee?
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. I ran for elections in 2013, 2017, and 2022, and I must say that running for elections has made me who I am today. At first, when I ran in 2013, I did not know a lot of things. I think my assumption was once you just run for election, you'll win. But with time, I have come to learn patience. I have come to learn that you don't always get what you want. I have come to learn that you have to really work hard to get what you want. I have been running for woman representative. It involves going around the whole of Bungoma County, which has 9 constituencies and 45 wards. And Honorable Chair, through all this time, I have had to dedicate time, I have had to dedicate energy and resources. So I have learned resilience, I have learned how to be patient. I have also learned how to deal with people. When you're looking for elections, you have to interact with very many different kinds of people. You have to interact with those who are very knowledgeable. You have to interact with those who are not knowledgeable, but you must find a balance. So I must say that running for elections 3 times has actually helped me to get to where I am today and to learn how to deal with people especially.
Chair, maybe...
Yes, Honorable Joseph.
You know, if maybe Honorable Nancy could share with us again, because you know when she contested in 2013, she was likely enough and nominated as an MCA. Then in 2022, now she has been appointed as a CEC. So does it mean that what is hidden in you that when you show some indications, then you are appointed or something? Maybe try and show.
You are rewarded handsomely or beautifully for that purpose.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker, on top of what Mheshimiwa is asking, 2013, she was nominated. Or you were nominated on, is it 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
2017, she was appointed as a chief advisor. So it is telling us something.
Chief advisor, not advisor, chief advisor.
The
term is chief advisor.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So it is telling us something. Maybe you just run for some positions so that you can be awarded, or what is it? Because we are looking at it like that.
You are not on Hansard, please. It's
Yeah,
okay.
What we wonder, what's so unique about her, maybe she could share with us. Many people have been contesting but never been rewarded.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. First of all, having sworn by the Bible, I must just feel blessed. I know that this is an interview, and maybe saying that I'm blessed sounds a bit off, but it is not every day, Mheshimiwa, yes, that somebody gets all those positions consecutively. But I also believe that it is because the appointing authorities have seen how much effort I have put during my campaigns. The honorable members who I worked with know that when I was looking for the votes from 2013, when I was a very young girl, I was always very resilient. And it got to a point where they all said that Nancy seems to be very serious. So I believe that it is this resilience and determination that the appointing authorities usually also see, and then they decide that maybe even if Nancy didn't win, it is in order to actually give her something to hold on to.
Yes, go to Honorable Muhongo.
Thank you, Chair. I have looked at your questionnaire, and I'm interested with the part 26 and the entire committee seated here. You were supposed to respond on this question A and question B, but you have only indicated not applicable. So my question is, if indeed this committee will approve your nomination and you assume that office, explain how you will handle them. That is because the question was on the potential conflict of interest. How will you handle? Because you will be assuming an office and it comes up.
It's just a main question. It's not a ritual. Let me finish first for people to have a chance. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chair. A public office is supposed to be for the purposes of serving the public, and therefore, having gotten previous experience as a state officer 2 consecutive times, I have learned that I should not allow my personal interests to supersede the interests of the public. So when I am in office, I will not allow at any particular time my personal interests to supersede those of the honorable office which I'm serving. For instance, Honorable Chair, I know that I am not supposed to contract or do business with the department that I am running because it will be a conflict of interest. If I have an interest in business, then it means I will prevent somebody else from actually getting that opportunity.
Madam Nancy, you know why they're asking these questions specifically?
Yes.
When you are an MCA, there was no questionnaire you filled. When you are an advisor, there was no questionnaire you filled.
No.
Thirdly, now, those 2 positions, there was no waiting for you. And from the history you've given us here, you are born in Sirisia, you're angled in Kapchai, Mukuyuni, you are placed with your husband from Bumula. Those are 3 potential areas of conflict which may arise in the course of your duties. They're asking to know from you, if given a chance by this committee, because we know human nature, people may come to your office seeking maybe favors in terms of contractual, especially a department that has youth, sports and disability department.
Yeah.
How do you handle such situations? Because here in the questionnaire, you've declined it, not answered anything. It's blank. Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. I know I have mentioned that I come from I have interest in the 3 areas, and yes.
The people are alive, they are not dead.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so Chair, understanding the public service and how I am supposed to conduct myself as a public officer, I want to assure this committee that I will not in any way engage in activities that will seek to advance people who are close to me. I will want to perform my duties knowing that I am serving the whole of Bungoma County, knowing that I am serving everybody in Bungoma County, and everybody requires to get equal opportunity from my office.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Chemion.
The question is very clear, our nominee. It is saying, how will you resolve? How will you resolve? It's just a very clear question. How will you resolve any potential conflict of interest? You have not answered.
How I will resolve any conflict of interest? First of all, I believe that every person in Bungoma has a right to get service from the office, which if I'm granted opportunity to serve, then I will serve. Every person has a right to be served there. So I believe that everybody who comes to my office should be able to go through all the procedures that are required. And I know that a CCM does not work in a vacuum. She or he works with other officers. So I will allow all processes to happen for everybody the same way. I will not at any particular time want somebody who is known to me to get a certain favor because I am related or known to them.
Honorable Joseph Nyongesa.
Chair, you know, they are not favors, because you know we as politicians, she has been a politician, Chair.
And she remains a politician.
She remains a politician. During our campaigns, we normally receive some support from our relatives, from our families, from our friends. Now you are in charge of that department, and there are contracts being awarded, and you know whoever supported you, maybe your cousin, he or she is there, and she supported you fully, and you know how she supported you. How will you handle it?
Thank you so much, Chair. I know the consequences of applying favorism, considering that I have run for elections and would not want to lose any favors with any people in Bungoma County, because once I threw myself into the ring as somebody running for election, then I became sort of property for everybody, that nobody, I cannot specifically say that I need to favor this one or this one, because I serve everybody in Bungoma County. When I was looking for votes, Honorable Chair, I was asking everyone to vote for me, and I knew and understood that my relatives only cannot make me win. So I will, what I want to assure this committee is that as a CCM for Gender, Youth and Sports, I would not allow myself to be boxed into a situation where I want to favor someone just because they supported my campaigns, because I know at the end of the day, I need everybody in Bungoma County, and at the end of the day, I am serving the whole of Bungoma County.
Honorable Stephen, you had a question to add on top of what?
Chair, maybe.
Honorable Makari, please.
Does the Nancy know something called recusal? There is a potential conflict of interest before you. Do you know something called stepping aside from doing something like that? That's the answer this committee wants. You're just meandering and going all over. Okay?
They want to hear from you because you are unanswered.
Thank you, Chair. If there is something that I need to step aside, then I would. Chair, I might, when I was in the first assembly here, I remember there was a time we were discussing about the issue of Honorable Nendela, and I'm sure Honorable Muhongo and Honorable Juma will remember. I remember saying that I was a close friend to Honorable Nendela and felt that I could not participate in the discussion that was against him, and I excused myself from voting. I'm sure the honorable members can be able to remember that. So I'm saying that, Chair, to show that I am somebody who, when there is a potential conflict, then I can readily step aside just to make sure that I don't interfere with the process.
Honorable Muhongo.
You know, Nancy has just reminded me over something, and I'm asking you that question because you have reminded me. In the last regime, you were an advisor.
Yes.
To the governor. And youths of this county were yearning to have contracts. In your opinion, were they given? If no or yes, then the same government you are serving is mentioned in public domain. It is there. on record is there, that they were even awarding tenders to families or friends. Because you are an advisor to the same. Can you tell us something?
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, I served as an advisor to the county government of Bungoma from 2018 December to 2022 February. And what I want to say is I know that a few youths were able to get tenders. When I followed up on the reason why many of our youths had not gotten tenders, I actually realized that the problem is on both sides. The most unfortunate thing, Chair, is that most of our youths are not willing to follow through the processes of applying for tenders. Chair, you understand that filling a tender is a very tedious exercise. It requires filling very many volumes of books. And that is, you know that many youths, and I say this with utmost respect, you know that many youths like quick results. They want to get something immediately. Immediately they start on something, they want to see the rewards and the results. So as a result, a lot of our youths are not very willing to go through the process of tendering. And also, on the other side, I said the problem is two-faced. The other side is our tendering process is also very hard to the effect that if somebody is not very determined and very resilient, then they will not be able to go through the whole process. And perhaps that is one of the things that I intend to do if I am given this opportunity as a CECM, to try and make the tendering process easy and simple, especially for our young people. In terms of people getting business and being given to the family, I must also tell this Honorable House that my role as an advisor was limited to advising, and I did not have much control about whatever else was happening in the departments. My role was limited to being able to do my research and give the advice accordingly.
In your own opinion,
yes, sir,
as an advisor, was your advice ever taken seriously?
Yes, sir, there is some advice that was taken. There is a few things that I pushed for and were implemented. Yeah.
It's okay, Honorable Stephen Wamalwa. It's okay, Honorable Kirong. Be on microphone, please.
Thank you, Chair. Nancy Kibaba.
Yes, ma'am.
You have talked of high altitude, Chemoge. What is the status of high altitude training center?
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I have not completed. And in Mount Elgon, what plans do you have for the facility?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable John. The Chemoge High Altitude Training Center, the process of constructing it started in 2013 and got to some point where it stalled. In 2013, 2017, I remember we only constructed part of the kitchen and the hotel. But then what has happened between 2017 and 2022 is the county government has been able to construct the hostels. We need to finish the facility so that it can become operational. But one of the problems that we have is that we do not have land for Chemoge. I think when this vision was conceived, the county government did not anticipate that the community around there would be very determined not to sell the land, perhaps maybe with an expectation that something better will come in the future. So that has been the stalemate, because Chemoge requires land. It's going to be a training center where athletes are going to do their practice. So they require a field where they can be able to do their run-ups. They require space where they can be able to do their practice. So that is the stalemate that is there, but I know that the facility there has been some little construction that has gone on, but what is really the crux of the matter right now is buying land around the area to enable the facility to become efficient in the work that it's stipulated for.
Honorable Chemioni, have you rejoined?
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Honorable Chair, the High Altitude Training Center is in my ward, and I would wish we get some more information from our nominee in terms of how are we going to operationalize that facility. assuming we have bought the piece of land you are talking about, we have constructed everything, how are we going to operationalize it? Secondly, is it going to be of any benefit to our county in terms of revenue, or we are going to give out to the private sector? And what about the timelines? Are you able to tell this committee when that facility will be operational, if you will be given the opportunity to serve as a CEC? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chemion.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of operationalization, Chair, this high altitude training center, I must mention that Kenya, this is going to be the second high altitude training center in Kenya. So that in itself is a very important thing, because it means any person, any athlete who wants to train for the marathons that we see will have to come to Mount Elgon, and specifically to the high altitude center where they can train. So in terms of making it operational, it is just to make sure that we have the facilities where somebody can get all the services that they need. We need to make sure that the hotel is running. We need to make sure that the trucks are running. We need to make sure that there is enough security there, so that even when we get the international athletes coming to practice in our area, then they are safe and they are able to get all the services. So far, our athletes can only get these services from E10. High altitude training center. But once the Chemoge high altitude center is complete, then it is something that should enable us to actually attract a lot of revenue. The honorable member has asked how it's going to benefit us as a county. It being the only facility around Western, I'm so sure that a lot of people will be coming to train there. We understand that Mount Elgon actually extends all the way to Uganda. We have seen during competitions Ugandans winning the championships. And I believe that even Ugandans will be able to come to Kenya just to practice. And it's not limited to Ugandans only. Even people from abroad, from Norway, from America, from all those places, they will be coming here to practice. And once they come, there is a ripple effect. There is definitely a ripple effect. These people will spend their money in hotels. They will have to buy our stuff. They will interact with our locals. They will eat our food. And so definitely there is a ripple effect in terms of income that goes back to our people. In terms of timelines, Chair, I know that promise on the timelines, but what I know for sure is, because we are determined to make sure it's finished, it's something that will happen.
Yes, Honorable Muhogo.
Thank you, Chair. Before my brother Chemion comes up again, you know, our sister Nancy is sharing good things with this committee, and I'm very keen to hear some of the policies and programs we intend to introduce. That is what I...
Chair.
It's asking that in your position, if approved by this House,
yes,
what policies do you have in mind to support the department that you'll be heading as a CEC finance, as source CEC for gender, culture, youth and sports?
Thank you, Chair. There is several policies that I intend to bring to the County Assembly for approval and then for implementation. But also, Chair, I must make the House aware that we have several policies which have died at draft level. We have several policies that have not seen the light of day, yet there are policies that are actually important. Some of them are actually in the department but have not been, have not gone beyond the draft stage. So one of the policies that I want to come up with to make sure that it is complete, it is a work in progress currently in the county government, is the Sex and Gender-Based Violence Bill. This is a bill that...
Hope you're not referring on notes. You're not allowed to refer on notes, madam. If you are referring, then that's out, you are out of order. You can't refer on notes. It's like going to an exam with the Mwakenya. Honorable Stephen, I'll come back to you.
That is what I'm observing, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Stephen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Chair, I have a question to the nominee. But before that, she's mentioned here, having been an advisor in the Office of the Governor, 2018 to 2022 February. And being an advisor, I believe, is not just about advising the governor or the cabinet or the department, but especially if it was border and youth. And the nominee has mentioned that the youth are sort of, they have phobia for going through the tendering process. What can we say about you having been an advisor? Do you think you achieved and turned around their notion, their attitude, that now, as you leave that position, you have changed the mindset of the youth and that they can go through the tendering process, because that is partially what you are supposed to be doing? Yes. Before I come to the question, now maybe I am straightforward to the question. As an MCA in the first assembly of this county, Assembly of Bungoma, what legislation can you boast of having introduced to establish, especially on the special mandate that you are nominated upon? So those two.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In terms of changing the mindset of the youth, every time I have been on media or radio or any platform where I can be able to reach the youth, I have always talked so much about the issue of tendering. I have always actually been encouraging youths on being more determined and following up through processes. There is at a particular time I was talking about issue of scholarships and applying for scholarships abroad, and I was encouraging the youth. I always go out of my way, Honorable Stephen, to make sure that I encourage the youths to actually learn to go out of the box and go the extra mile to get something. So that is something that is on record on various media houses. I have always gone and done that because that was the best avenue I could use to get.
Honorable Speaker, maybe the nominee, Honorable Nancy Charity Kebaba, you know, I'm saying that because it's from yourself. Just a few moments ago, you on oath said, when there was this question about conflict of interest and having some tenders given to family members or close associates and not the youth, and then you confessed that the problem is because the youth did not get the tenders courtesy of their attitude and fear of the voluminous documentation they have to go through. That's why they were not able to get the tenders. And it's from that I'm asking this, because if you observed that indeed they were not getting the tenders, it's an issue that captures this committee and everybody else in this county. What is your role? What can you boast of having done? And maybe specifically, if you can have some citations of the same.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Stephen, to answer your question, yes, I said that there are two problems that make our youth not to get tenders or to go through the tendering process. Number one, it is because the process is very tedious and long, and any person who is not very determined might not go through the whole process. That's what I said, one. Then the second thing I said, most of our youths, and I said that with utmost respect, not wanting to make our youths appear as if they are bad people, but I said most youths like immediate results and immediate gratification. So it might not be very easy for a youth to want to go through the whole process of tendering. And so, to answer your question, Honorable Stephen, I said that I used to use my platform to go on different media platforms to inform the youths on why it is important for them to want to go the extra mile to be able to acquire these things. So that, because I believe that the part that I could play was to encourage them and tell them that they can actually do the process if they can go through it.
Yes, Honorable Seneca.
I think what Honorable Stephen also wanted to know, do we have specific groups that have assisted to access the funds, if you can mention?
Thank you, Chair. I did not specifically tell or have any group get a tender or advise them to get a tender. What I did was in general, because for me, when I go to the media, what I would do was general talk to our youths. When I use the social media platforms, it will be general talk to the youth, not specifically to one particular group.
Honorable Chair.
Yes,
still on the same, before she comes to when she was a member of this county assembly, which is so enviable. Honorable Charity Nancy Kibaba. You know, for example, if you are a minister, a cabinet secretary, or an MC, or even the speaker of this county assembly, you are a speaker of the entire county assembly.
Yes.
But specifically, at some point, you'll be required to cite some very important achievements that you achieved as a speaker of this county assembly. You can cite examples, being an overseer of the entire institution, but then there are specifications you can cite as having been points of your success stories. It will be very important. So it will be very important, and this committee will be excited to learn that you have citations or point out those areas or groups or specific youth as an advisor that you can boast about as having changed their lives. It's not a criminal offense.
Thank you, Honorable Stephen. In terms of helping groups, I have several groups that I can actually mention which I have helped, but I was answering specifically to do with the tendering process, that I did not in particular help any group specifically to get a tender. What I did was general advice. But if we talk about helping groups in terms of economic empowerment and all that, then there is actually groups that I can mention. There is a group in Kabula called Casentro, which I actually helped to grow. And at this moment, the group is very big because of the amount of work I was able to put in. I was able to bring some donors from Sweden, and they did a project with that group, and the group at the moment has really grown. So if it's in terms of me empowering groups as Nancy, then it is something that I have done. But when we talk about me helping a specific group to get a tender, then that one I don't.
Well, maybe, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, sir, Honorable Stephen.
I want to reframe my statement. It's not about you empowering them. We are specifically about the attitude.
Yes.
Especially in terms of you being an advisor and advising them, because when you say you have to empower these groups, all of them, it's not possible. Mm-hmm. No human being can achieve that. But you can change the mindset through advice. So I was saying, which specific group, not giving them tender, but having heeded your advice, and actually you can cite that after I advise on media, social platforms, and whatsoever, a youth group or a youthful somebody somewhere heeded the call and they went through the tenders. Not you giving, after all you are not the person giving the tenders, mm-hmm. but that you meant to change the attitude of these people.
Thank you, Honorable Stephen. You know, there is my department also involved the boda who majority of them fall in the youth category. And there is a group in Mount Elgon that was able to follow up and get a tender, a group of bodas. And then there is also a group in...
You didn't have a name?
No, for the bodas chair, it used to be just... Can I be allowed to refer?
You can't refer, madam.
Yeah, for the boda.
You cannot refer. An interview remains an interview.
For the boda, it is they mainly label themselves as circles.
It's okay.
So we have Bumula, we have
it's okay.
Mount Elgon.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Stephen, I'll ask you a substantive question.
Yes, my substantive question, let me repeat so that the nominee can just be at par with me. As an MCA in the First Assembly of Bungoma, what legislation can you boast of having introduced to the establishment, especially on the special mandate that you were nominated for during the First Assembly in this county?
Thank you, Chair. I was nominated to represent the youth in the County Assembly between 2013 and 2017. Chair, I want to inform this Honorable Committee that during my tenure as a nominated MCA, I introduced the motion that has seen the establishment of the Youth Committee and the Department of Youth in the county government. I remember when we started, the youth issues used to oscillate between education and gender. Every budgeting cycle, you would find that this time round, the youth issues are being discussed in the Education Committee. After some time, you hear that youth issues have been pushed to the Gender Department. So the problem that was happening was, anytime we wanted the youth issues to be addressed, the Education Committee would say they did not have enough resources for the youth.
This question was very specific to you as Honorable
Yes.
Charity Nancy Kibaba.
Yes.
And out of curiosity for this member's consumption, is moving a motion a legislation? Is it?
Sorry, just come again. I didn't get-
Is the motion that brought up the creation of the Committee on Youth and Sports, is it a legislation?
Yes, we ended up, we created a policy, and the policy, I want to submit the paper because I took the Hansard report, sir.
Those ones have them. You know, when we talk of legislation, we're saying maybe a bill. You know, like when you talk of a motion, it's just like another motion here. You can't say it's a legislation, maybe it's an act of that simply.
Honorable Chair, when I was an MCA, I brought the motion in the Assembly which saw the establishment of the Youth Committee. Unfortunately, I did not have it happen during my term because the budgeting process had already lapsed, and therefore I know that the committee was established between the 2017 and 2022 when I was out of the Assembly. So that is one thing that I pride myself as having brought and made sure that the youth also had a standalone committee.
It's okay. Do I go to Honorable George Makari?
Thank you, Chair. Nancy, good morning.
Morning.
I'm interested in Nancy, the politician. Can I ask you one or two questions?
Yes, sure.
But before I come there, in your high school at Putere, your principal wrote that you were a member of Kindness and the Geographical Club. Maybe can we dwell on kindness? What was it? Tell us something about kindness.
Thank you so much, Honorable Makari. I know the word kindness can be subjective because what is kind to somebody might not be
It was a
kind.
club.
Yeah, might not be kind to somebody else.
Kindness and the Geographical Club.
Yes.
So we know geographical. Maybe
The
tell
kindness.
us something about the kindness part.
Yeah, so in our school we had different clubs, and the kindness club was for people who are willing to always rush to the aid of other people. For instance, if there was a problem, like say for example we are on the parade and someone faints, there was always people who are willing to rush and take this person to the sick bay. And so for some reason our principal saw fitness to create that club. If say for instance, it went in line with the Girl Guides club. So like also if maybe you find a dead dog or a dead cat, there was always those people who would be willing to carry those and go and bury. And of course you understand in high school not very many people would be willing to do that. So I was a member of that club, and that's how I ended up getting that.
All right. Now, arising from that, been nominated as an MCA from 2013-17, 17 to 22.
Yes.
CCM, CC 2022 onwards. Maybe before you become the CCM, is there any kindness you have done to anyone from 2013 to 2022? Maybe you can tell us.
Thank you, Honorable Makari. I subscribe to the Christian faith, and we are usually told that what the right hand does is not supposed to be known by the left hand. But I think it's in order that I mentioned to this Honorable House, Honorable Committee, that from 2018, I have paid school fees for a certain girl in Bumula called Anne Muchele. I have paid her school fees. I do not know her, she's not my relative, but the girl passed her exam, and the father wanted her to drop out of school and go and become a maid because they didn't have school fees. I didn't have a lot of money, but I have always paid her school fees by giving maize, beans.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. I think you have enumerated.
Yeah.
Now, back to politics. Do you believe in luck, or you believe in a miracle working God?
I don't believe in luck. I believe in being blessed.
So which one can you refer to? Was it a blessing for you to be nominated in 2013 to 17? And then after failing to clinch women rep seat, you got a role as an advisor, 2017, 2022. Then all of a sudden you are nominated as a CCM. Is that luck or a blessings or the miracle working God?
I think it's being blessed. It's God works in mystery.
You know, he's asking as a bishop now, because we know him as our bishop.
you know, Honorable Chair, it is said that God works in mysterious ways. So I believe it is a blessing, but it is also preparedness. It's also when you work hard towards something, then also God rewards. God rewards what you work for.
So what is it, Nancy? Blessings.
If you ask if it's blessing or luck, then I'll say it's blessing. I'll go with blessing.
All right. Now, you contested as a women rep in 2022. You began by being a candidate of TABK. Then all of a sudden we saw you switching sides to UDA. Can you tell us what informed your decision to do that?
Thank you, Honorable Makari. First, I want to clarify that it wasn't really DAPK, it was ODM. Yes, it was ODM. So I was in Ford Kenya. I have run in Ford Kenya 2 times, and I felt that for me to get an opportunity to get at the final ballot, perhaps it might be a good thing to switch parties. And I'm sure you know that as a politician, you have to weigh your options and really see, am I able to get to this end with this or not? And when I was in ODM, for some time, I realized that the party was not making any headway in Bungoma for some reason. And as a result, I decided to join UDA, which was actually a risk for me because I did it almost towards the tail end. But I felt strongly that perhaps UDA was the party I was supposed to join, and that's what I did.
All right, now there's another question also. The grapevine has it that you are a nominee of the president. Have you heard something like that?
A nominee of the president for what, sir?
The position you are holding is courtesy of a phone call from the president. Have you heard something like that?
No, I have not, Honorable Makari, and I must say that I heard my name being read by Governor Kenneth Makelo Lusaka. So I am not aware if he talked with the president or not. I cannot honestly deduce that.
All right. Now, can you tell us your relationship, the relationship between your qualifications and the position you are appointed for? Do you think are they tallying? Are you qualified to be in the docket that you have been nominated for based on your qualifications as are outlined in our files?
Thank you, Honorable Makari. First of all, when I talk about the academic qualifications, I believe that I am qualified for the position because in my undergraduate, I did political science and sociology. You will realize that all these are fields that deal majorly with people. When we talk about sociology, it is a wide field that deals with how to manage people, how to understand people, how to understand different cultures. And I believe that having done that course, it places me at a vantage point. In my master's class, I have done a whole unit on gender studies.
Honorable Nancy?
Yes.
You know, when you refer to a master's which is incomplete, it's not allowed. Because from your paperwork we've shown here, you are saying ongoing. It's ongoing.
Okay, it is noted, Chair.
Okay, so you don't refer to it because to us it does not exist. You are a graduate holder, it ends there.
When I get to the qualifications in terms of the work experience that I have had, I have been a member of the County Assembly where I have been able to legislate, oversight, and represent a group of people. And the wealth of experience that I gathered as an MCA, working, in fact, when I was an MCA, I was actually in the Department of Gender, Youth and Sports. So I believe that all the knowledge that I acquired in terms of the budgeting cycle, in terms of how to, the kind of reports that a CECM is expected to bring to the County Assembly, the working relationship between the Assembly and the Executive, I believe all this wealth of knowledge is something that should help me to be able to dispense my duties in a proper
So you feel you are perfectly suited for that?
I cannot talk about perfection, but I can say that I believe I am able to deliver.
All right, away from that, you have always been resigning to stand for a particular seat. You don't finish your tenure every time you are nominated or elected for something or picked to do a certain duty, like advisor to the governor, like that was 2017. How sure are we that you will not again leave Lusaka's, His Excellency Lusaka's cabinet 1 year to his term becoming over to go and vie for a political seat, seeing that you are a politician?
Thank you, Chair. The reason why I have run for election, Chair, is because I believe that I believed then that there was some work that I could be able to do with that elective position. But resigning is because the reason why I have resigned in the past, of course when I was an advisor, was because the regulations require that you must resign 6 months to election. And so, Chair, I'm not starting to work thinking that I'm going to resign, but I believe that every person has a right, as stipulated in the Constitution, to run for election if they so wish.
So there's no guarantee that you will finish 5 years, you will again resign for politics?
Chair, things change, things happen,
All right, Nancy, maybe just one final thing. Who is the chair of the Council of Governors in Kenya?
Governor Waiguru.
Okay, the president of this country is outside of this country. Where is he and what is the mission? Which summit is he attending?
I'm sorry, but I'm not really aware of that.
A CCM nominee, you are not aware?
No, I am not aware of where the president is at the moment.
And you even don't know which summit is attending?
No, I am sorry, but I'm not aware of that today.
Nancy?
Yes, sir.
The former immediate majority leader of Nairobi County Assembly is now a governor. Can you tell us, he's a governor in which county and his name?
I cannot place his name, but I know that there is an MCA who is a governor in one of the northeastern counties.
Thank you, Chair. Back to you.
Thank you. I'll go to Honorable Vitalis.
Just a quick one, Chair.
Honorable Vitalis, before you proceed, Honorable Majority, you have an issue?
Just a follow-up from what Mheshimiwa George was asking. Chair, it has reminded me very far, because during our campaigns, Honorable Nancy had a competitor who is currently the women rep of Bungoma County. And in fact, those campaigns, looking at her age and the age of the current women rep, there was some disrespect, because she was referring to her that huyu mama hajafanya lolote, huyu mama sijui nini. Now that you are going to be the CC in that department, the women rep is there, will you respect her, or that issue will continue now that you are also heading the department in the whole county?
Thank you, Chair. I have respect for everybody, regardless of their age, whether young or old.
No, Chair, I said it during campaigns, and I was also sharing those platforms. And I heard what she was saying.
Thank you, Chair. In a political scenario, you understand that all the candidates try to put their best foot forward. I'm not so sure if it would be in order for me, Chair, to start saying what my opponent told me to warrant me saying what I said. But, Chair, I want to say that in politics, in the political field, everybody says what they feel can help them at that particular time. The same does not, when you're in an office, when you're in an office, you cannot handle things the way you would handle them in a political environment.
It's okay, thank you. Let me go to Honorable Mutiempu. Well, let's do the substantive questions first. We have the rejoinders, please. Yes, Honorable Vitalis. Sorry, Honorable Mutiempu, it was Honorable Vitalis.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Charity Nancy Nanyama Kibaba. First, I want to say that I want to agree that I know you helped one group in my ward, but I want to know in Bungoma County, youth, women, and persons living with disability feels aggregated in social development, economic development. As a CCM of this county of Bungoma, if this assembly approved you as our new CCM of this particular department, what approach do you intend to apply in gender equality?
Thank you, Honorable Vitalis, through the chair. I want to say that the Department of Gender, Youth and Sports is inclusive of both men and women, and the persons living with disability also fall in the category. We have a persons living with disability charter that was passed in 2004. This charter was supposed to help all government departments to incorporate issues of disability across board, so that anytime we are doing any budgetary process, it is conversant of the fact that we have people with disability. And I think from that time, that is why you will even realize that when buildings are constructed, they must put a ramp so that persons with disability can easily access them. So in terms of my department, which I believe the disability directly falls in, we must, when we are doing the budget, it must be responsive towards people with disability. And I know that issues of disability are not devolved per se, but there is some of the things that we can be able to help our persons living with disability to also participate in, so that it can make their work easy. For instance, I can lobby, I can work together with the other departments to make sure that when persons with disability go to the hospital, they are able to be treated without a lot of delay. When persons of disability are faced with gender-based violence, we as a department must be able to act to make sure that their interests are protected. So as a department, it is to have an all-inclusive framework where issues of disability, just the same way we do mainstreaming for gender, we also do mainstreaming for persons living with disability.
It's okay, Honorable Mutiempu.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Nancy, in the spirit of development, preserving and promoting Bungoma heritage, the art and creativity in the heritage, the art and creativity industry, what strategies will you put in place to ensure youths are empowered and nurture their talents?
Thank you, Honorable Mutiempu. Through the chair, I want to say that first of all, it is very important that we preserve our heritage. So one of the ways that we preserve our heritage is through arts and promotion of culture. And when we talk about youths, I know that we have cultural days in Bungoma. I know that we have sporting events in Bungoma. And so one of the things that I intend to do, if appointed as a CCM for Gender, Youth and Sports and Culture, is to ensure that our heritage is maintained through some of the art and crafts, the presentations that are done by our youth. So for instance, on the days when we have the cultural events, one of the ways we will be making sure that our heritage is maintained within our youth is to encourage them to actually present activities and articles that touch on our culture. We are also aware that our culture is diminishing because of modernization. And so I believe that we can use, I intend to actually use this department to make sure that our culture and our heritage is maintained. And so one of the way of maintaining this is to make sure that these youths, when they are doing this performance, when they are going to sing, when they are presenting different articles, then it is in relation to do with what our culture entails.
So you're done, Honorable Mutiambo? It's okay. Honorable Mohongo, you have a rejoinder?
Chair, I'm impressed the way the nominees are responding, but I have looked at some of his responsibility when she was the advisor to the former regime. Research on viable activities which women and youths can engage in for sustainable development. Can you be in a position to share with us what you did? Because it was a responsibility for you.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. As an advisor on gender, youth and sports, my work entailed, of course, finding out, my work entailed advising. And in terms of advising, you advise on some of the things that you have researched on. For instance, I worked with the Maendeleo ya Wanawake group to actually understand that Maendeleo ya Wanawake group is not just an amorphous group of women just waiting to have the Maendeleo ya Wanawake Day and then their programs end. I was actually able to find out that Maendeleo ya Wanawake is a group that is able to participate in a lot of activities, including social protection, including teaching of people in the community on safe life, how to protect your children against rape and defilement and all that. So I was able to actually work with this group and to understand that their mandate goes beyond just being called Maendeleo ya Wanawake. And when we talk about even sustainable development, there was, I would tell the governor that we need to, for instance, when we talk about issues of circles and border borders, we need to empower these border borders in such a way that they can be able to run their circles without failing. Mheshimiwa, you understand that we have had circles where we keep contributing money every other time. But these circles fail because they do not, the border borders do not have the necessary training. Our mama mbogas back at home do not have the necessary training to be able to run that circle. But now when we talk about sustainable development, it is that we are now getting to that position where instead of just giving people money, we are also teaching them on what exactly they can do. So that is some of the programs that I was advising the department and the governor that can be implemented. And as you're aware, as an advisor, your role is actually limited to what you can advise.
Yes, Honorable Luseneka, then I'll go to Honorable Chemion. Then you'll be allowed to have rejoinders to seek clarity on various issues raised. Honorable Luseneka, you go.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, from her opening remarks, the nominee confirmed that the Bungoma has several talents. In fact, when you look from football, we have been having football teams playing at national level. When you look at volleyball, Lugulu Girls has produced so many. When you look at athletics, you have Manyala who has been doing below 10 seconds and likely comes from my ward. When you come to the music industry, you have the likes of Steve K and the rest. So we are wondering, when you look at the manifesto of His Excellency the Governor, he outlined his commitment to putting in place appropriate policies and structures that will help identify, nurture, and promote and protect local talent. What proposals will you bring on board to actualize this agenda if confirmed to this docket? And secondly, when you look around, when you walk around town and in our marketplaces and in the villages, we have so many youth engaging in drug abuse, which is now at alarming rate. Given an opportunity to serve as CC in this department, how will you address this problem?
Thank you, Honorable Senaka. The youth specifically is partially devolved. We still have some functions that are largely carried out by the national government. The first thing that I would want to do is to partner with the departments in the national government to make sure that all the programs that pertain to the youth in the national government are also implemented, especially in Bungoma County. We have, during the first assembly between 2013 and 2017, there was a youth policy that never saw the light of day. We actually waited for that youth policy in this house for all the time we were here, and it never came. When I did my follow-up about why the youth policy never saw the light of day, I realized that it was stuck at draft level in the county government. So one of the things that I intend to do once I am approved, if I am approved, as a CCM for Gender, Youth and Sports, is to make sure that we fast track the issue of the youth policy and make sure that all the aspects of youth are incorporated. I know that we carry out public participation to find out and to ascertain what exactly is required. Sometimes it is important, I believe that it is important that once the process of drafting the youth policy starts all over again, then with the input of the county assembly members, with the input of the local youths, we'll be able to know for sure all the activities that the youth would want to engage in. But apart from that, I believe that in the spirit of enhancing our heritage and culture, it is to try and direct all the activities of the youth towards saving our culture, so that we are promoting a scenario where anytime we have, like I said earlier, anytime we have cultural days, we have, you've mentioned about musicians that we have, we get to that point where as a county government, we encourage them to sing along and maintain our culture. I know that we have a few songs, for instance, that have been sung by some of our musicians that touch on our traditions, like the sirebo, the circumcision, that is, and it is to encourage the youths to do that more. Even when it comes to primary schools, when they do the recitals, my department, I desire that I should be able to actually have presentation of items that touch on our culture and our heritage. The advantage that that will give us is that we will be able to maintain our culture through. Because if we don't take care of the culture right now, then it is bound to disappear.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Seneca.
I'm expecting the nominee to be specific. Like in football, we have a stadium. What about something like music industry? Are you planning to buy equipment for these musicians, for drama festivals? Are you going to put up a talent center for them? That is what I wanted to hear from you.
Thank you, Honorable Senaka. We can put up a talent center for our youth, but it is definitely subject to the approval of this House, because I know that there is some functions that can be carried out by county governments, and there is other functions that cannot be carried out.
Yes, you're done. Honorable Chemion, please.
Thank you. Before I ask you my main questions, having served as an MCA and in the Gender and Culture Committee 2013-2017, are you aware of Imbalu?
Sorry?
Are you aware of something called Imbalu?
Yes.
Are you able to tell us who is the current Omukuka wa Bamasaba? You are not, you don't know about.
No, I'm not aware of the current.
Home cook.
No.
Okay. You know, you needed to research more because the main culture here is the Luya, and you should be knowing your king, the king of the Bamasama. You mentioned some stadiums in our county. Are you able to elaborate all of them, name them, and maybe tell this committee how many do we have in this county, and in which condition are they? And if given the opportunity to serve as the CC, what are you going to do with those stadiums?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairman. We have the Masinde Muliro we have the Masinde Muliro Stadium in Kandui, which we have, the county government has been able to complete the first phase, or rather the first phase is just about to be completed. And we are envisioning that once the stadium is complete, if I can refer back
Order, members. Yes, please.
If I can refer to the governor's manifesto, he is putting priority on the completion of the Masinde Muliro Stadium. We are hoping that once the stadium is complete, then we can be able to actually enhance our gaming activities. We can even have the major football clubs coming to play in our and bringing revenue to Bungoma County. We also have the Nalondo Stadium. It is in a dilapidated state. I don't think if anything has ever been refurbished ever since it was constructed. It's actually in a dilapidated state. We have the Amtala Stadium in Kimilili. The Amtala Stadium is just a field, but nothing in particular, just a field, just an open field, and it's known as a stadium. But I believe that if I am given the opportunity to be a CECM for Gender, Youth and Sports, working in collaboration with this county assembly, then we should be able to actually do something about that stadium. Then we have the Mbakalo Stadium. It is there is a platform for the stadium where people can sit, but ever since it was constructed, no further construction has. Ever since the basic platform was put, nothing else has been done to improve it. Then we have the Mayuva Stadium. The Mayuva Stadium is not very old, but also ever since the platform was put, nothing else has been done to enhance the facility. When I talk about, though I know that with the Mayuva Stadium, at least there is some toilet facilities, not in very good condition, but at least we do have that. Then we have of course, I'm envisioning Chemoge also becoming like a stadium, because once we have the field, then we should be able to put there some stadium where people can actually come for gaming activities. The plans I have for the stadium, with working in line with the county assembly, is to, if we can be able to get the proper budgetary allocations, then we should be able to modernize these stadiums. When we modernize the stadiums, because Honorable Chimion, you're aware that for you to attract major games in your county, you must have several stadiums around. You'll realize that when there is a football tournament, a football like World Cup happening in Brazil, it will be happening in various cities in Brazil. It will not just be happening in one place. So we also need to make Bungoma a destination where, when a major function is happening in Masinde Muliro, other small activities can happen in the other fields. So it is to modernize the stadiums, to make sure that the stadiums have the proper facilities, proper toilets, proper bathrooms, and proper infrastructure, just to make sure that everybody is comfortable when they're using the stadiums.
Thank you. My final question is, what is social welfare program?
Thank you, Honorable Chemion. Social welfare programs are programs that are meant to fill the gaps that exist in our society. For instance, when we talk about children who are facing, children who are lost and disengaged from their parents, those are children who require social protection. So that falls under social welfare. When we talk about youths affected by drug abuse, These are youths who are supposed to go into social protection to make sure that they are able to be rehabilitated and gotten back to the right frame of mind to exist.
Okay. It's okay. I'll go to Honorable Stephen Wamalwa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I have something to pose to the nominee. Bungoma is renowned for its very rich diversity and traditions. One of the greatest of all is the age system and circumcision, otherwise known as Embalu. And now that the nominee is coming in for culture, I will know that is one area that she must be very conversant with and going to promote the same. So if I may ask the nominee that currently this is an even year where the Bukusu, the Tachoni, and very many other communities in Bungoma practice circumcision, and they support this. Even we have assimilated other communities into it. This year, which is the age set?
Thank you, Chair. I might not know the current age set, but I am fairly aware of the different age sets that we've had in the past.
Honorable Nancy,
Yes.
very specific question. Either you know it or you don't know it. We go on.
Thank you, Chair. I do not know the current age set.
It's okay, thank you.
Having answered that, the Honorable Nancy,
Having not answered that,
having not answered, having not known, and you know it's a very rich heritage that we have. Number two, Honorable Nancy, how many age sets? Because now that is very simple. Coming in as a nominee for this, how many age sets do we have?
I think we have 8.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
It's okay, thank you. I think we are done with the nominee. Honorable Nancy, before we wind up, this is basically for every nominee that has been coming before us here, that this assembly was given your name for vetting and approval and make various recommendations. But we have the history of 100 members who, since after approval, they become like rock elephants. Now, in our new standing orders, number 55, very specific, has a provision where you'll be invited or summoned to come before this house or committee to answer queries towards your department. If this committee recommends you approve and you are approved, will you be able to come before this committee or house to answer queries concerning your department?
Thank you, Chair, for that question. First of all, I must say that as a previous member of the County Assembly, I understand why it is important for both arms of government to work in tandem. When the executive works without being checked by the County Assembly, then whatever errors or whatever omissions they fail to do will be to the detriment of Bungoma County. So if I'm appointed as a CEC for Gender, Youth and Sports, I am very ready to work with the County Assembly. One, because I know that it is the County Assembly that has the power and capacity to push and make sure that activities in my department happen. So I will be more than willing to always work with the County Assembly to make sure that my ministry is able to move forward.
Thank you. That was very important for me as the Speaker and the Chair of the Assembly, that you are willing and ready to come before the committee or the whole House or the sector committees to answer queries concerning your department. So thank you very much for coming for the vetting process. Your fate lies in the hands of these 10 members or 11 members. Wish you all the best. Have a good day.
Thank you. No, I took a little.